Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Rezolve AI. It is time for another update, and the main scenario on this chart remains this idea of a larger ABC movement to extend to even lower prices, to actually form new all-time lows. And this has been a main interpretation, especially since we have here a potential initial 5-wave move to the downside. We have a 3-wave correction into the last level of resistance, the 78.6% retracement, where we had our very significant rejection. Now, it is still possible for this white scenario to work out, where we have an ABC movement, part of a large leading diagonal, and we do have here this area of support, but this would not be considered, in my opinion, a reliable trade setup, and we cannot look for a reliable reversal to the upside from such a scenario. Maybe if we get an initial confirmation by forming an initial 5-wave move to the upside, we may be able to look for an internal correction within a wave 2, but even then it could work out as just an ABC structure, which would be part of an internal correction within this wave C to the downside, wave C that, to be honest, could even morph into a third wave structure, where right now, in that case, we would be basically building the initial wave 1, we would expect a correction in a 3-wave pattern in a wave 2, and then continuation in an impulse to the downside within a wave 3. And then indeed, if we manage to break here the last level of support, the $1.7 level, it would be a signal that we should be rather expecting with even higher probabilities, which are already the highest probabilities that we can consider on this chart. And I'm talking from a comparison perspective, compared to what we have here as an ABC movement or a 1, 2, 3 to the downside in the orange interpretation. It is a higher probability compared to what we have in the white scenario as a 1, 2 setup, or even a larger ABC movement. Now, with that said, if we do end up managing in the longer run to break here the 78.6% retracement that we have in orange, we can definitely have a new look and a new perspective, because it would highly shift the likelihood of this structure to extend lower, and a breakout may even become more favorable. But right now we are still very far from those levels, and it should not be a focus for us. Now, in the smaller time frame, we have been tracking this idea of the initial 5-wave move to the downside to be forming, and we will continue to track such a pattern until we get a signal that we should be looking for a different structure, and that signal would be needed to be achieved basically by breaking the levels of resistance. And in the previous video, we were looking here to have the wave 3 bottom already in place. We were tracking here the 1, 2, 3, a wave 4 correction, and a 5th wave to the downside. Now, before actually going into this area of resistance that we had for the wave 4, we did dip a little bit lower, but I actually believe this to be just part of a flat correction, an expanded flat within this wave 4, where I believe the third wave bottom was spot on, and that we should be expecting to still continue right now in this 50 to the downside, where I am expecting to build an ABC movement in the end to complete this overall pattern in a 5-wave structure to the downside, completing a larger initial wave 1, after which we can expect a wave 2, and then a third wave that would likely even break the overall support area. But in the end, I don't necessarily expect to manage to break this area of support that we have for the wave 2 in white in a very direct fashion. And as we can even see here, divergences are starting to appear even on the larger time frames. Maybe not on the weekly, but on the daily, we do clearly see some divergences occur here within this push to the downside, which is suggesting a possible exhaustion of this overall downtrend that has indeed been quite significant. Now, we still hold here this area of resistance for now, just for demonstrational purposes, and while it is possible for the third wave to have a more significant bottom here and look for another correction within the wave 4, I would probably prefer right now that we are already within a 5th wave to the downside, and in such a scenario I would be looking here for an internal resistance area for an AB setup, and this would be here at the levels between the 38.2% retracement at the $2.6 level all the way up to the $3.15 level at the 78.6% retracement, and a break above this level would actually allow us to look with a higher likelihood for a reset of this wave 4, or at least a bottom in this wave 3, and then that we would start this wave 4. But I wouldn't necessarily be clearly able to consider a larger bottom to be in place. I would actually still like to see further extensions for now. And it's not absolutely needed, but it's a slight preference for me at the moment based on the actual structure that has formed within this area, although it is indeed within a very small time frame. And again, if we don't manage to extend still to the downside within, let's say, a yellow interpretation, we would be tracking a larger correction within the wave 4, and I would still need to see here a break above the 61.8% retracement, and even then, if we manage to break that, we would still have other resistances ahead before we can target and eye the larger and final target for us to break the $8.3 level at the 78.6% retracement. So for now, we have here the yellow interpretation in an ABC movement, and if we don't manage to follow through in this scenario, I'm watching here for a signal that this movement to the downside has been broken, the 61.8% retracement in orange, the $4.7 level, and then if we break even that, I will provide another level. I don't really think it's worth it to add every single future possible level of resistance when we actually still have two to deal with internally. Now, within this wave B, I have to say it is a bit unfortunate, but we only have a 3-wave structure to the upside, while the wave A could even be considered to be a 5-wave move to the downside, which is also suggesting to us that we should be prepared for another low. And then, if we manage to build this structure, I may be able to consider more reliably that a more significant bottom would already be in place within a wave 5, within the larger structure to the downside, where I may be able to basically consider this move complete and look for a more significant relief rally in a 3-wave correction. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.